Welcome to the deep dive. We're here, as always, to dig into the sources and really pull out those surprising insights.
Mm.
Today, we're tackling something pretty profound: mental healings in modern times. And the material we've looked at offers a perspective that, honestly, it could really shift how you think about wellness.
It really could.
Yeah.
We're exploring this powerful idea that the ability to heal isn't really external. Not totally, anyway.
Right.
The core concept here is that there's this incredible healing power in the subconscious mind of each person. Sort of reframes the whole thing. Who actually does the healing?
Yeah, and that leads straight to the big question, doesn't it? The one everyone asks,
Yeah.
what is it that heals? Where does this power actually reside?
Exactly.
And the answer we found in these sources is, well, it's pretty radical. It says it's right there inside you, in your subconscious mind.
It's a really key distinction they make. The sources are quite clear that no practitioner, like no doctor, therapist, psychologist, whoever, they don't actually heal the patient in the way we might think. They're facilitators, definitely.
Yeah.
But the real mending, the healing itself, comes from within. It reminds me of that old saying, the doctor dresses the wound, but God heals it.
Ah, right. So the doctor's role is kind of preparatory.
You could say that.
Hmm.
Their job, according to this view, is to remove the obstacles.
Obstacles. Okay.
Yeah, the mental blocks, or sometimes the physical blocks, so that the body's own healing principle may be released.
So they're clearing the path, making way for your own innate healing capacity to do its work.
That's the idea. And what's really striking is how universal this one healing power is supposed to be. It goes by so many different names, right?
Right.
Nature, life, God, creative intelligence, subconscious power.
Mm-hmm.
All point to the same thing. And it's apparently operative in all people.
Regardless of belief.
Exactly. Regardless of creed, color, race.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Even if someone considers themselves an atheist or agnostic, this underlying principle is still supposedly active within them. It's presented as truly omnipresent.
Okay, so if this power is within us universally, the next question is obvious, right? How do we, access it? How do we tap into it?
Mm.
And the sources point pretty directly towards, well, faith. They say the modern mental therapeutic approach is based on this idea that the infinite intelligence and power of your subconscious mind responds according to your faith.
Right. And it's important to understand what they mean by faith here. It's not necessarily faith in a specific doctrine or, a ceremony.
It's a blind faith.
Not in that sense, no. It's
Yes.
more about belief itself. The sources define belief as a thought in your mind, basically. And this thought causes the power of your subconscious to be distributed, throughout your life according to your habitual ways of thinking.
A thought in your mind.
Yeah. It brings that biblical quote to mind. If thou canst believe, all things are possible to him that believeth. It's suggesting your internal state, your belief, actually shapes your external reality.
Wow. Okay, so that's the power of positive belief. But what about the other side? What about negative beliefs? The sources seem pretty blunt about this.
They are. They basically say it is foolish to believe in something to hurt or harm you.
Right, because it's not the thing itself that hurts you.
Exactly. It's the belief or the thought in your mind about that thing. That's what creates the result.
Mm.
All our experiences, they argue, are essentially reflections and reactions to your own thought.
So we're kind of projecting our reality based on our thoughts.
In a way, yes.
Yeah.
Which leads to, well, how do we guide this consciously? How do we make it work for us?
Mm-hmm.
The sources talk about something called prayer therapy or even scientific prayer.
Scientific prayer, that sounds specific.
It does. It's described not just as wishing, but as the synchronized, harmonious, and intelligent function of the conscious and subconscious levels of mind, specifically directed for a definite purpose.
Okay, break that down. How does it work?
Well, the process is, first, you consciously choose a specific idea, maybe mental picture, or a plan you want to achieve.
Mm.
Then you convey this to your subconscious
Oh.
by feeling the reality of it, feeling like it's already happened, like that state is already assumed. And then you stay faithful to that mental attitude. You hold on to that feeling.
And this relates directly back to sickness.
Yes. The idea presented is that sickness often comes from negative thoughts charged with fear that get kind of stuck in the subconscious.
So healing involves.
Cleansing the mind of those fearful thoughts, It's an active process. Reminding yourself constantly of the subconscious mind's power, its infinite nature, letting those truths dissolve the fear, and just refusing to give power to the negative conditions or symptoms.
Refusing to give them power. I like that. It feels active, not passive.
It is. And this leads to an important distinction the sources make
Which is?
between what they call popularly termed faith healing, the kind you might see on TV, and the faith mentioned in the Bible.
They're different.
According to this view, yes. Biblical faith, they say, isn't some kind of magic trick. It's actually knowledge of the interaction of the conscious and subconscious mind.
So someone could be a faith healer and get results.
But maybe without fully understanding the scientific principles involved,
Yeah.
they might not grasp how it's actually working.
That sounds a bit like, wasn't there that historical figure Mesmer? Franz Anton Mesmer?
Ah, yes. Back in, 1776? A fascinating character.
Definitely. People were flocking to him, right? He was using these artificial magnets at first.
Mm-hmm. And then claimed this mysterious force, animal magnetism, flowed through him to heal people. And he did get results. Some seemingly miraculous cures.
But then there was that commission with Benjamin Franklin, wasn't it?
That's right. A very distinguished commission. They investigated, acknowledged the cures were happening, but their conclusion was pretty groundbreaking. They said the effects were due to the imagination of the patients.
Imagination, not magnetism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And later, another researcher, Dr. Braid, showed that you could get similar cures just through hypnotic suggestion. No magnets needed.
So Mesmer's cures?
The conclusion was they were caused by the patient's own active imagination, combined with a powerful suggestion of health directed at their subconscious minds. That's what the sources call blind faith. Not because it didn't work, it clearly did sometimes, but because back then there was no understanding as to how the cures were brought about. The mechanism wasn't understood.
So it wasn't the external stuff, it was the mind responding to suggestion, which brings us to subjective faith. Is that the term?
Yes, subjective faith. And the core idea here is really empowering. It's the understanding that your own subconscious mind is just as controllable by your own conscious thoughts and intentions as it is by someone else's suggestions.
So you can direct it yourself.
Precisely. You hold the reins. And this subjective faith apparently can work even when you're not fully alert, like in a sleepy state.
Oh.
Well, there's this interesting anecdote about a man who received healing from a minister. The thing is, the man didn't actually buy into the minister's specific theories about why he was sick.
Okay. So why did it work?
Because he was in this passive, drowsy state, very receptive. His conscious mind wasn't putting up resistance. So the minister's suggestions, just simple suggestions of perfect health, bypassed his conscious objections and went straight to his subconscious.
Oh, I see.
The two subjective minds, the ministers and the patients, were described as being en rapport, connected on that deeper level. The conscious guard was down.
That idea of connection, of minds reaching beyond the physical, it leads to another really fascinating concept they discuss. Absent treatment.
Right. This one can stretch the imagination a bit.
Yeah, I mean, picture this. Your mom is sick in New York, and you're all the way over in Los Angeles. How could your thoughts, your prayers, possibly affect her across that distance? It seems impossible.
It does seem counterintuitive to our everyday experience.
Yeah.
But the principle outlined is this. The creative law of mind, your subconscious mind, serves you and will do the work.
Okay.
And the key is the assertion that in the mind principle, there is no time or space. It operates outside those limitations. The universal mind is omnipresent.
Universal mind, so like a shared consciousness.
Sort of. It suggests we're all connected on some fundamental mental level. So it's not like you're sending out thoughts like radio waves.
Right, not like beaming a message.
No. It's more that your internal thoughts, your focused thoughts of health, vitality, perfection for that person, these operate through this one universal subjective mind.
And doing that.
Doing that sets a law in motion on the subjective side of life. And that subjective change then manifests physically in the other person's body. It's about creating a resonance within that universal field.
That's quite something. Is there an example of this?
There's a pretty compelling one mentioned. A listener to a radio program prayed for her mother in New York who had a serious heart condition, a coronary thrombosis.
And the daughter was where?
In Los Angeles. She used very specific, visualized affirmations. Things like, my mind is the projection reel, and I now project in my own mind the image of wholeness, harmony, and perfect health for my mother. Really picturing it, feeling it.
And what happened?
Apparently, her mother had a remarkable recovery within just a few days. Her specialist was reportedly astonished, couldn't explain it medically, and attributed it simply to the daughter's powerful faith.
Wow. Okay, that really brings it home. And it makes you think about the practical side of all this, like that story about the psychologist, the one who healed himself of tuberculosis.
Yes, that's a great practical example. What he did was, every night, just before sleep, he would calmly affirm positive statements about his health. Perfect health, vitality.
And his reasoning was fascinating.
It really was. He said the kinetic action of the subconscious mind continues throughout your sleep time period. It keeps working. Hence, he advised, give the subconscious mind something good to work on as you drop off into slumber.
And crucially, he never focused on the illness itself.
Never even used the name, apparently.
Bruh.
Which connects directly to a really strong caution the sources give.
Which is?
Cease talking about your ailments or giving them a name. Stop dwelling on symptoms.
Why is that so important?
Because, according to this view, naming them, focusing on them, actually inhibits the kinetic action that's the release of the healing power. It kind of jams the works.
Like you're reinforcing the negative reality.
Exactly. It says, these imaginings tend to take shape as the thing I greatly feared. You give energy to what you focus on. Instead, the advice is to fill your mind with the great truths of life and walk forward in the light of love. Focus on wholeness, on wellness, on positivity.
Okay, so let's try and boil this down. What are the really key takeaways for someone listening, things they can actually use?
Right. Good idea.
First, I'd say realize that this immense healing power is actually in your subconscious. It's already there. And giving it the right directions, the right thoughts, can heal both mind and body.
Definitely. And second, develop a clear plan for how you want to convey your requests, your desires to your subconscious. Make it specific.
Third, really imagine the end result. Feel the reality of it as if it's already happened. That feeling is key.
Fourth, understand what belief is in this context. It's a thought in your mind. And that thought has creative power. It makes things happen.
So, fifth, consciously choose what to believe in. Believe in perfect health, prosperity, peace. Don't give energy or belief to sickness or things that harm you.
Right. And six, remember that your habitual thinking matters. Noble thoughts, repeated consistently, eventually become great acts or realities in your life.
Seventh, use that prayer therapy idea. Unite mentally and emotionally with the good you want to embody. Feel it.
Eighth, and this is huge, if you want the power to heal yourself or even others, you already have it. It's inherent.
Ninth, know the difference between blind faith, getting results without understanding why, and true faith, which involves consciously working with the interaction between your conscious and subconscious mind.
Well put. And finally, 10th, learn how to effectively pray or hold positive intentions for loved ones. Quiet your mind, feel their wholeness, and trust that these thoughts operate through that universal connection.
That's a fantastic summary. Covers a lot.
It's a lot to take in for sure, but powerful stuff. And it leaves us with a final thought, perhaps.
Go for it.
Well, given this core idea that all your experiences, your health, your circumstances, are ultimately reflections of your own thoughts, what deeply held belief might you be unknowingly holding on to right now? What thought pattern could be shaping your reality in ways you haven't even considered yet?
That is a powerful question to sit with, a fantastic place to end this exploration. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. There's clearly so much potential within our own minds. Keep exploring.